Meet one of the Carolinas' amazing social butterflies. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Villa Romana, Italian restaurant on South Kings Highway in Myrtle Beach, in front of a long-standing Montrose family tradition, their Italian nativity scene and worldwide nativity scene. And we're visiting with the Grande Dame of the Carolinas, Hilda Carter. Good morning, Hilda.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Golly, on Christmas Eve, it's so exciting to get you in. I know, obviously, in a little bit you're going to be heading up to Washington, North Carolina, to be with your son and daughter-in-law and granddaughter, and soon to be another grandchild on the way.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Oh, it is. And too, to be able to see the children get their Santa Claus under the tree,
Yes.
you know. I'll be the first one up.
You'll be the first one up tomorrow morning.
Yes. Right. But Jackie will probably stay in the bed until we pull him out.
Now, Jackie's your youngest son,
Youngest son.
That's
yes,
right.
Yes. And I have, of course, there were 8 children altogether. 2 of them were my grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And then the 6 were Jack's children and my children and our child.
Wow.
So we had a big family at Christmas time. Yeah. And it was always wonderful. Just to see the kids get up on Christmas morning and go downstairs, and we look like a department store.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. That's right. It was such a huge family.
Oh, yeah. You can ask Jack. He likes to put bicycles together, like 5 of them at one time.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We should have gotten Jack in for tomorrow. We're so excited to get Mama Lucia in tomorrow here at Villa Romana, and Shirley getting Donald in yesterday. And to think about, part of the reason it was so important for me to get the 2 of y'all in as we wrap up 2003, you and Donald. Obviously, y'all had so much to do in making Carolina People a reality, helping to give this idea, and that's part of the reason I wanted to wrap up the year with the 2 of y'all.
Well, you know, I think Donald's done such a great job in our area bringing good television shows locally, and, of course, it reaches out into North Carolina. And Carolina People, I have been really proud of this program because it tells people outside of Myrtle Beach what's going on here, and it helps us understand what's going on in their area.
Right. And
we sort of are closer now, and I noticed this more when we had, back in February, when we had the 3 Beach Music Legends in concert with the Long Bay Symphony. We had just about as many out-of-town people coming as we did the locals, which I was really happy to see, and I hope it continues. And that we're in negotiations now about maybe moving it to a time when some of the tourists are here and can enjoy it. And we're thinking of bringing in big names, which will help a lot, because beach music now is the popular music of South Carolina, thanks to Governor Jim Hodges. Because yes, but not just him. I think all the House of Representatives and the senators, I think they all loved it, because they showed us when we were up there performing for them that this was their favorite music. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to do something to really, when we have maybe Sun Fun or some big function, that we can have this show. You know.
It's so exciting to think about that amazing performance last year of the Long Bay Symphony, the Beach Music Legends performance there at Myrtle Beach High School. And, of course, and I'm so glad you pointed out, it is so important for us to get into the PD and to bring the PD to the Strand and to bring the Strand to the PD in southeastern North Carolina. It was so great being up at UNC Pembroke just a couple of months ago and visiting with folks in the Robeson County community. These are such large counties in our TV market, in our greater TV market. Horry County, the largest county in South Carolina. Obviously, Robeson County, one of 2 of the largest counties in North Carolina. geographically we serve such a large viewing area up to, into Hartsville and obviously Bennettsville and Laurinburg. It's an amazing, amazing area. And so I just wanted to thank you so much for bringing that. Let's get back to Christmases past, Hilda. Let's, even we can start with after your first child was born, to think back as opposed to going all the way back. Excuse me. And of course, we did celebrate 7 decades of your life recently.
Yes.
Or the entrance into your 7th decade.
Right,
excuse me.
Right. Well, it's most of my life I've raised children, and so when all the kids grew up and sort of moved away or had their own homes and all, there I was left. And I remember the first Christmas that I had to cook for myself. It was just me. And I had all these huge pots and pans. And I thought, heavens, what am I going to do? So I thought, well, I'm going to give them to somebody that could really use them. So I went down to the Salvation Army that day and took all those big pots and pans. And then I went straight and bought me a set of little pots and pans, and of course had them ever since. Of course, I don't do much cooking anymore because I don't stay home that much. But at Christmas time, it was always somebody bringing somebody home. Our table was full. We even had to set up a table in the kitchen to move the kids in there. But it was such a wonderful time, and especially here on the beach. People do not realize that Myrtle Beach, in my words, is the best place to be and the best place to raise children, because I raised my kids here, and every one of them have turned out to be pretty good. So living here in a resort area, I hear people say all the time, well, it must have been terrible. But it wasn't. It was wonderful because we had like a little town that we didn't get to see each other in the summer. But like at Christmas time and through the winter, we all got together. And it was wonderful. And it's still going on.
It is. It is. Not to cut you off, I was just thinking about on Monday, I don't know if you got to see Jeannie Carmichael, who was with us, talking about the big event tomorrow. 2,500 folks that will be served on Christmas Day at those 3 locations. And to think of the commitment of folks, whether they're going to show up tomorrow to help out in a volunteer capacity, to drive meals out to people, or to be there just to partake. As she said, lots of snowbirds. There's a lot of S's this week. There's a lot of S's in your life, Hilda. And, of course, I think of Silver Crescent. I think about raising 6 kids and obviously 2 grandchildren. I think about just so many aspects of your life that resonate and make it easier to celebrate the Christmas season.
Well, a lot of people, like I say, they always thought of Myrtle Beach as being the swimsuit, just the swimsuit. They never thought that we got out of that ocean every once in a while. But we have some great things here. I mean, we're the capital for golf. We have good theaters. I mean, listen, there is not anything in this town that I have not enjoyed, and especially the thing of working together with other people. Because at Christmas time, there's so many people that do not have what we have. So that means we need to share. And with, just like she said about having this big dinner, think of the people that would not have eaten had it not been for that.
Right.
So we have to help each other, and not just at Christmas time, but all year long. I have gotten involved with the Miracle League, and these are children that are in wheelchairs playing baseball. And it is so amazing, because I remember when I was 13 years old, this was back in Wilmington, and we'd get out in the yard and play baseball and, just have a... And I remember this young boy, he was about 14. He was a year older than me. And I looked back one day, and he had his nose at the window looking out at those kids playing. So when I first went to see the first game, with the encouragement of Raymond Childs and Jerry, it made me think about, isn't this wonderful? What if we could have had that back then? So you see, we are moving on, and we're helping each person. In fact, my column, that's what that's all about, is because I try to help the Cancer Association, the Heart Association, the Diabetes Association, anybody that needs to have money to help other people that are in need. This column is for that. So I guess people never really thought about how it really got started. But I got to thinking, well, how can I give back something? And I know I can't work in everything, but this was my way of doing it, was helping these people raise the money that they needed to help other people.
Well, now, Hilda, you were listed as a society columnist for Coast and Alternatives News Magazine. Society is not normally associated with the giving back aspect. How have you been able to transcend that normal perceived role of a society columnist into one that really serves the community so well?
Okay, you see, the number one thing is money. And we hate to say that, but it is money.
You mean raising money?
Raising money. We have to have money to be able to help people, right? Now, if people don't know about it, how are they going to be able to participate? Now, if we have a heart ball, and I've got in there all these pictures and different things maybe from the year before, it's going to encourage people. They can say, hey, we ought to go there. They're going to have so-and-so or so-and-so, a big name. We ought to participate.
Right.
And not only that, when they do, that money is going to help these people that have strokes. And Lord knows I've had 6. And it surely has helped me. And also with heart attacks. I mean, several of my friends have had heart attacks. So you look back and you say, well, society is part of it. So that's how my column began to do for the different associations so that we could raise money, and this would be a way they didn't have to pay for that ad.
That's right. That's right. Hilda, when did your first society column kick off? Which paper was that?
Well, actually, back in high school.
Was this back in the Star News or back in?
Well, back in high school. I was a senior in New Hanover High School, and David Brinkley, which died a few months ago, a while ago, he was a star reporter. And so I talked to him about maybe having something for the school to be put in the paper and, to stimulate the ball games or going to the whatever dances we had at school. And it was like a little teenage Tatler column, and that's what David named it. So I did that up until, I graduated. But in the meantime, we lost David. Star News was owned by Rye Page. And for some reason, he didn't like David. I think he was actually jealous of him. David was a brilliant writer. And not only that, for newspaper. And years later, when he and I were having lunch together up in Washington, I told David, I said, David, I said, Rye Page did you the biggest thing by firing you, because look what you've accomplished. And sometimes that happens. If we get too into what we're doing, we forget what's out there, see. So that was a good move for him. So he helped me a lot. I learned a lot from him. And in beauty pageants, I wrote shows and, of course, trained girls for pageants, a local, state, and Miss America.
Is that right, Hilda?
Yes.
You were involved with the Miss America pageant?
Exactly. And Hannah Block, which I was her protege for 8 years, she was a director, and she taught me what I knew about doing pageants. That's how I got involved with it. And so working under her for 8 years. When she retired, she gave me all the shows. So there I was, stuck with all the shows. And I was traveling a lot, and it was getting, to where it was bad with the children and things, so I had to sort of slow up. So then I started just judging pageants throughout the South or state pageants and all.
Why are pageants important, Hilda?
Well, the reason I think a pageant is important is, and now not all pageants are, but I think the Miss America preliminary pageant's one of the best pageants that a girl could enter. She not only is going for scholarship to help her family in paying for her education, but competing with other girls, learning how to sit down, stand up, walk, talk, whatever. It just is a lot of things. We go through makeup, hairstyles, clothing, how to learn to buy your clothes and not have to pay a fortune.
Wow.
So a training school is good for a young girl that is young in her teenage, going up into her womanhood, so to speak. It helps them when they look back and they say, I wouldn't have known that if it hadn't have been for this or hadn't have been for that. So I think it's a great thing for daughters to want to participate. And you've got a daughter coming along, and you should encourage her. Because, now, I don't particularly care for these little teeny children with makeup and all that. I don't go along with that. But I do think that when a girl hits high school, she needs to start looking at her grooming, what she wants to do with her life, her education, if she can get scholarships. And this is one of the biggest programs for scholarships in the world, actually. So that's why I would say if, my daughter, I would like to see her do something like that, because I think it puts something in that girl. Now, Stephanie Richardson. Stephanie's been in all kind of pageants, but now she's on TV. She's doing great. I hear she's engaged to be married.
She is.
So, but she's working, and she's making something of her life. And I look back at a lot of girls that were talented, that I trained. Maria Bill Fletcher, which was Miss North Carolina, and she went on to be Miss America. I was on her training program, and through Hannah. And so I learned what to do with these girls to help them reach a goal. And that goal was education. You see, before then, you didn't think of a girl going to college. You didn't think of her as being a person with an education. You thought of the man. He was the one you pushed because he was supposed to be the head of the family. Well, that's changed. It takes sometimes two working together to raise children today.
Well, obviously you attended WC, Women's College, which prior to that was state normal, a teacher's college. And fortunately, there have been some fathers in the past, or mothers, that thought their daughters could be like any man out there. That idea that it had to be men. As you know, my grandmother had a father who had two girls, and he thought his daughters could be anything. And, of course, she went on to
be a lawyer.
To do some amazing things.
Yes, she did. And I was fortunate to meet your grandmother. She came to Chapel Hill law school and talked to us, and I just fell in love with her. I thought she was the greatest thing since apple pie. But you see, there are some women that they can do both. They can work and they can have a family. There's no reason to why they couldn't. But, until children, I think it's good for children to be able to go with other children at young ages and learn to play and to get together and learn to live together in that respect. Because if you wait until they're 6 years old, they're already set in their ways. So it's pretty hard, with personality. You've got to bring out that personality because some children are really, they stand back. You got to pull that out. So I'm all for mothers working, because I work with my kids.
Right, absolutely. You know, as I sit here, Hilda, I think you're right here in the middle of the week. Obviously, on Christmas Eve, somebody who's lived her entire life in the Carolinas. Has there been a point where you've ever left? Of course, growing up in North Carolina, living in Myrtle, then in Sumter, back in Myrtle. You'll be in Washington, North Carolina tomorrow.
Yeah.
What have you ever lived anywhere else other than the Carolinas?
No, the Carolinas is where I decided I wanted to live. And everybody was talking about, well, isn't this near retirement? Well, I never have thought of retirement because of the fact I'll never retire. But I love Myrtle Beach. I love South Carolina. But I love North Carolina, too, because that's my state, too. But if I have to pick, I will have to pick South Carolina. It's a smaller state, but we've done some great things, and there's some great people that have come from South Carolina. And right now, Myrtle Beach is busting at the seams. I mean, I think about, Greg, when I used to leave here to go to do the pageant over in Conway, and I had to rush, you know, to get there. There's nothing but trees, so if you broke down, you were in trouble. And I'll never forget, this highway patrolman stopped me when I said, listen, I said, I've got to go because the girls are waiting on me. The JCs are waiting on me. I said, you'll just have to follow me. So he said, no, I'll get in front of you and escort you. So he did. And one of his brothers was a JC. So he learned. I wasn't telling him a lie. But I look back, and it used to take, hours and hours to get from Wilmington to Myrtle Beach. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think we'd ever get here. I'd tell Mama, I'd say, well, are we ever going to get there? Yes, we are. So it was quite a feat to see this now, to drive from here to Wilmington, and it's just right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
And I used to say, well, what happened?
Right.
But, that's progress. And now that we might get an interstate, I'm so excited. I just...
And that fortunately impacts all of my viewing area. You know, obviously up to Bennettsville and Laurinburg and Lumberton, that aspect, those folks have lived close to an interstate, either I-95 or 20 for a long, long time. For the Strand not to have been blessed with an interstate, it's a big deal. It'll impact all those areas. That was the only
thing that we didn't have. And then I remember I was PR director under Fred Brinkman, and Fred talked about it all the time. But the locals then could not see ahead that we really needed this now. But they wanted to wait and put it off. And that's what happens, when you wait too long. And now here we are busting at the seams. We got to have that interstate. And I'll tell you something else. And I know this goes part of South Carolina. If it was not for Myrtle Beach, with all the taxes that we pay here, if we have a bad season, it hurts everybody in South Carolina. So all those people need to rally around and get this interstate from Myrtle Beach, because we need it.
Your former husband, Jack Thompson, an amazing photographer. Is that where you got the love of the camera?
Yes, because I worked in television before.
Right. And
I was more interested in the movie camera. But once I saw Jack's pictures, I wanted to be just like that. And he's one of the best teachers I know. And his pictures are the best. And, he's got a book coming out, so don't forget to get it when it hits the stands, because it is going to be Myrtle Beach, and that's what it's all about, But, yes, I'll have to thank the Myrtle Beach Herald for one thing. Bill Darby, 12 years ago, did not think that column would make it if I wrote it. And I begged and pleaded and did everything. So Debbie, I'll have to give her credit for that. she gave me my first chance to write that column in the Myrtle Beach Herald, and I've always been very grateful to her about that. But later, and then I went on to North Myrtle Beach Times with Polly Lohman, and she was a great, great woman in newspaper. But then Bill talked me into coming back, and I've been with him now 10 years. So
Is that right?
yeah,
Hilda?
and I love every minute. We fight all the time. But he's a great person. He really is. And Donna, too.
Bill will be with us week after next.
Yeah.
We got to wrap, Hilda, and
I
the excitement, I think 25 minutes have passed, but of course you'll be in North Carolina tomorrow.
Yes. I'll be leaving right after the show here, going up there. So I'm all excited about seeing my little granddaughter, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Her life revolves around children, whether it's her own, her grandchildren, or great-grandchildren even. It's amazing to see her commitment. Growing up in the Carolinas, obviously in North Carolina, now calling the Palmetto State home. It was kicking off while at New Hanover High School, the teenage tattler for the Star News that's evolved into her amazing column at Coast and Alternatives News magazines. We're visiting with Hilda Carter. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
And Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Hilda Carter and her amazing love of the Carolinas for making today's Carolina People so special.